again. So Ash Wednesday is just a couple days away, and today I just want to talk to you about the two simple questions I ask myself as I go about planning my Lenten practices for the coming season or for my family for the coming season. Now, one other thing I want to stress before I get into this is that this is very much a matter of personal prayer. It's not something that we just want to come up with and develop on our own, but we need to ask God, what is He asking of us in this season of growth? And so don't just give a quick answer to these things, but to really reflect on it and bring it to your personal prayer time and ask God to lead you. And I think that we will find our Lent to be even more fruitful when we do that, instead of just going on our own path. Sometimes God isn't asking us to do the really hard thing that we want to challenge ourselves to do, but rather He's asking us something simple, or sometimes He's asking us to do something hard and we want to go the easy way. So do bring these things to prayer. Now, we are really blessed to live in this modern world of lots of access to information and ideas through bloggers, through social media, anything. But sometimes that can just make things more overwhelming. So I'm hoping today I don't overwhelm you with more ideas. My hope is that in this little talk that I will simplify the process for you. So real quick, I just want to give you the two questions I thought about that really simplified the process for me as I went about planning my Lent this year. And they're very, very simple. I'm going to give them to you now, and then we're going to just chat about different aspects of our life where these might apply as we go about planning our Lent. So the first one is, spiritually, what has become a distraction, a roadblock, or an obstacle to my spiritual growth? The second question is, spiritually, what is something that I am lacking, or something that my spiritual life is lacking? Let me just really quick give you what my own personal Lent is going to look like. So spiritually, what has become an obstacle for me? So the last year and a half have been pretty tough with our family. My husband got really bad mono and was off of work for 30 days. And then a few months after that, my second son developed epilepsy, and we had a 2-week hospital stay, and we've had lots of crazy medication and just all this, the emotional up and downs that caused our family. It was really stressful for me, and I just have kind of been in this go mode now for a year and a half. And part of the way that I was in go mode was by relying a lot on caffeine and just kind of eating whatever was around instead of nourishing my body. And I feel like food is something I've always struggled with. And believe it or not, I have never been on a diet, though. As much as I've maybe struggled with food, I have a hard time giving it up. And so God, I feel like, has been asking me to do something radical. So for 5 years, I've been hearing about this Daniel fast, and it's basically the fast that Daniel underwent in the book of Daniel, where he just ate produce of the earth for a time. And that is what I'm going to do. And I cannot believe that I'm going to do that, but I'm scared to do it, but I feel like that's what God is calling me to do. He's telling me, now's the time. I'm not expecting, I'm not nursing a child. I don't have lots of really little ones. My youngest one is going to be 3 in July. I feel like now is the time for me to really push that obstacle that I've had for a long time, really push that in a really strong way. So I'm doing it through the Daniel fast. Now, I'm not actually going to be doing it for the whole of Lent. Ash Wednesday is February 14th this year. My birthday is February 15th. And then in 5 days after that, we have to do my son's quarterly meeting with his neurologist at a regional hospital. He has to undergo testing for a couple days, and I just don't want to, I have to cook all his own separate meals. So I'm already cooking 2 separate meals. I want to make it as easy as possible and not I want it to be spiritual and not a stressful situation. So I'm going to be doing a lot of freezer cooking for myself, and I am not going to undertake it until we get back from his appointment. So a week after Ash Wednesday is probably when I will start it. And I'm not worried about weight loss. I'm not even going to allow myself to step on the scale. That is not what it is about. I'm happy with my weight. It's a matter of just this clutter that I feel like I have in my physical being that is keeping me away from God. So that is what my spiritual life, what my obstacle has been to my spiritual growth, and that's what I'm going to tackle. Secondly, what has my spiritual life been lacking? This has been just kind of an ongoing thing, and I feel like with little kids, your life is always changing. But I just want to focus again more on having that contemplative prayer time. I've been saying a decade of the rosary with my kids in the morning. I think that's probably what we're going to be adding for our spiritual practice for our family, is just continuing to focus on that good habit. For myself, I've been having a little bit of prayer time in the morning, but I want to make sure that I have that, not just reading scripture. I fall into the trap of reading scripture, saying a quick prayer to Jesus and calling it good, and instead I want to have like a focused certain amount of time of silence in my prayer where I am listening and just convening with God in that way. I feel like that's what my spiritual life is lacking. So those are my two things that I'm going to be working on this Lent, if that helps you to think or to visualize what I'm talking about the obstacle and the lacking. So different things that this might affect in your life, or different aspects that you might want to think about, are attitudes or thought patterns that you have fallen into. Contentment is a big one. I know a couple years ago for Lent, I really worked with being content and not allowing myself to complain. I was pregnant at the time, and it was very easy for me to complain. That I had a few things to complain about, but I really focused on that. So if we have an attitude or thought patterns that we need to really work on, what are our attitudes or thought patterns lacking in, or what has become an obstacle to us? Habits. What are our habits? So for me, the habit is for food, to just kind of, eat and stuff my face. And so that's kind of my habit. That's what has become my obstacle. Another thing for habits is a lot of people give up media time or, Facebook. Virtues and vices, sin and virtue. What's a virtue we need to grow in? Contentment would be similar. That would be similar to the not allowing yourself to complain, or a vice, a sin that we really need to root out. What do we need to pull up by the roots during Lent this year? Prayer practices. So that's where I was talking about I want to work more on having a contemplative prayer time. What is a prayer practice maybe we need to be adding to our life? Or is there even a prayer practice, like for me, where I was just reading the Bible and not having that talking time with God? Is there a prayer practice like that for me that has become an obstacle? So that's another one. What about spiritual development or learning? Are you learning about your faith? Are you reading the Bible? Are you maybe reading books about apologetics or something? Challenge yourself to read a book this Lent. This is something that I can think about for our family as well. So what is our family? What has become an obstacle in our family? For our family, I would really like to work on some poor habits that the kids have developed. I feel like those have become obstacles for our spiritual growth and spiritual peace in our home. So I would like to think about rooting out some bad habits. I need to talk more to my husband about this and bring it to prayer too, and specifically what that's going to look like, because it's kind of abstract, and I do think you need to have some really concrete ideas for Lent. Okay, and then also, what is lacking in our family? And I told you we've been working on saying just a decade of the rosary, and we are probably saying that 4 to 5 times a week, and I want to try to make it 7 times a week. So we're just going to amp that up a little bit and work on that. So it was fairly simple for me, just in asking myself these questions and bringing them to prayer, to really narrow down what I needed to work on for Lent. What is going to be fruitful for me? So that is it, and I just hope that this is a blessing to you, that you just ask yourself those 2 questions, and ask those questions about your family. Bring it to prayer, bring it to your husband, and I pray that you do have a fruitful Lent. Blessings and peace.